everybody to one of Volkswagen India's premium offerings, the T-Roc. Now this car is a complete CBU, priced at 19.99 lakhs ex-showroom. Let's see how this car actually is. Front of the car, you can see, has a very aggressive look. There's a very thick chrome strip running across the front. There's a lots of cuts and creases on the hood that lend it that aggressive attitude. It's got a fog skid plate on the bottom, which also lend it a little bit of SUV characteristics. Overall, this and plus this paint, it really stands out, especially when you're parked, especially in open daylight. This paint really stands out. Coming to the side of the car, you can see that the whole theme of the cuts and creases carry on to the side. There's a huge line that stretches all across the side. The car also has flared wheel arches, and overall it's a very simplistic side compared to the aggressive front, but there are some small touches that really highlight the car. First, there is this chrome strip which might have divided opinion, but personally I like this subtle minimal chrome that the car has. And one very interesting thing is Volkswagen branding on the pillar. Now, where do you see this? The roof rails also lend a very sporty appeal to the overall side profile of the car. Carry on to the rear, you can see there's quite a lot of different lines you can see on the tail light, and these tail lights also, I must mention, they remind me of the Passat and an older generation of the Volkswagen Golf, which is not a bad thing because it was a good looking car. I do feel the rear is also very good looking, and this is overall a very good looking car. The front, sides, rear, any angle you look at the car, it's extremely good looking. There is very minimal badging on the car. There's just the Volkswagen logo and the mentioning of T-Roc. Slight chrome accents on the edges, and that's about it. As you can see, this car has a contrasting roof compared to the yellow paint. It's got black roof and black mirrors to contrast with the bright yellow paint, which I think complements the whole package. Coming to the interiors of the car, you can see that this has a very familiar Volkswagen Group steering wheel. The same steering can be found in, say, the Jetta, because this has the paddle shifts, which the Jetta also had. Rest, it's completely new, which you won't be finding in much Volkswagens. This new screen, I really like. The brightness is really good, and the touch response is top-notch. The AC controls are here. It's got dual zone air controls. But there are some blank switches which I don't like, especially at this price point that the car is priced at. The blank switches I'm not a big fan of. But every button that you feel, press, touch, feels really tactile, feels really nice. The dashboard has a dual tone look here inside as well. It's got aluminium finish here and some hard plastic, which I'm also not a fan of. I mean, if this hard plastic would have been a little bit of leather, it would have increased the luxury quotient of this car several folds. But these hard plastics all over, not my type. As you can see, the dual tone theme carries on to the seats as well. It's got, in fact, this is almost triple tone if you can call it. We've got white, grey and black on the sides. I think it looks really good, and it's not pure leather, it's sort of a leatherette quality. Again, not an issue from my side because I think it looks really good and it's supremely comfortable. Both driver and passenger do get lumbar support as well. One more party trick that this car has is, yes, a full panoramic sunroof. As you can see, this car also has a semi-virtual cockpit, if I can call it, because it's not the full one that we can see in the larger Audi cars. This does not have the whole GPS map in the background, which actually looks really cool. But this is a semi, so it is mostly virtual cockpit except the fuel reading and the engine temperature. But you can see there's lots of things you can switch through. So you can see speed, whatever, oil temperature, trip meter, anything, and then you can swap through your driving stats. You can see the lane assist. So this car also has lane assist technology, but more on that later. Then you can see the audio, music, name, whatever song you're listening to. The phone, if you want to speak to anybody, you can call somebody. Then your vehicle status, any errors they have. So right now, as you can see, that it's asking me to refuel. So this is an error, hence it's showing me in the vehicle information system. All this stuff is pretty cool, and then you can expand it to get even more information. You can get more information in one screen. Pretty cool if you ask me. This head unit is the MIB 2.5, it's called, and it's excellent. I feel the sound quality of the infotainment, touch quality is superb, and this is complemented by awesome audio quality by the speakers provided in this car. This MIB 2.4 has a host of features. It's got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Android Mirror Link, and you can control a host of things from the screen. You can have the vehicle settings, so you can turn off the traction control. You can see all the information of how you've been driving. Then you can actually do vehicle settings and turn off the traction control, and set up various things of the car, lighting, anything personalization that you want to do on this car, you can do through the screen. You can see the you can control the air conditioner through the screen. And then you can actually also connect your phone through a USB, transfer pictures onto this, and then see those pictures on this screen. I'm not sure what this is for, but it's definitely a gimmick where you can actually show off to your friends. The touch response is actually really, really nice. Anything you touch works really well. I'm really impressed with the whole touch, and even the brightness and the screen resolution is just spot on. It's really easy to use, especially when you have Android Auto plugged in. It's really nice to see. Even in bright sunlight, there is no reflection of sun on the screen. The AC vents in this car is something I'd like to mention as well. They're definitely very cool looking and lend a very, quirky appeal to the car, which this car is already carrying from before. This AC vents complemented further. In the back of the T-Roc, and it's a very dark interior. There are some white accents you can find, especially on the headrest of the car and in between the seats. But overall, it's a very dark place to be, very full of black and grey. There are hard plastics everywhere, which again I'm not a fan of. I wish this was at least a little bit leather, but I've lended a little bit of a premium touch to the interior. But yeah, coming to the back, under thigh support is not the best. Backrest is a little upright, but it's very comfortable. When you're sitting in the seat, it feels like you're actually really comfortable, and you can sit here for long hours. There are seat pockets where you can put your knickknacks in here, so you can keep your phones and stuff. There is an AC vent in the back, again not dual zone, just manual, and a 12-volt charging port as well in the back. You do have an armrest that have two cup holders, which you can actually adjust the size of the cup. Suppose if you have a huge bottle or a small cup, you can adjust. So suppose I have a small cup, maybe I have some small drink, it's a small space, and then I can adjust it for a bigger bottle, which I find to be really, really useful. I mean, I have really not seen this much in other cars, so I find this to be immensely unique. Another cool feature this car has is you can access the boot of the car. So if you want to access something directly in the boot, you can just open this flap and access to the boot, which is something really cool, especially if you're on a road trip. You don't actually have to stop your car to take out something from the boot. This is actually very, very useful and very thoughtful by Volkswagen to provide it in this car. Now I'm behind the wheel of the Volkswagen T-Roc, so let's see how this car drives. Slot into D and we go. So that's the stop-start system, more on that later. Once you start off, you realize that this engine pulls from starting really well. You would feel that below 2000 RPM the engine is not that strong. To get a move on, you need to rev this engine, and nowadays I do feel that the new TSI engines are more rev friendly than the older ones, especially after me driving the 1 liter TSI and then the 1.5 TSI. I do feel that this engine is pretty rev friendly. It just takes a matter of you flooring the pedal The DSG downshifts maybe 2-3 gears into the appropriate gear and you're off. Coming to the DSG, this car has the very famous / infamous DQ200, the 7-speed dry clutch DSG. It's a hit or miss because lots of people have had failures. Lots of people have been driving for a very long time, so it's all in your luck on how you treat the gearbox, depending on traffic conditions, maybe stop start, maybe highway driving, depends. But yeah, the DQ200 is known to fail quite a lot, which is a big downside and a big, worry point. So what I tell people is that, when you buy a DQ200 car, open another bank account, invest a little bit in that, and then once your DSG does fail, use that to fix it. Although you might not need it because Volkswagen is providing 7 years of warranty, which covers the gearbox as well. So that's a great bonus that you get with this car. Once you are driving and you start exploring the car, you push the car on different kinds of roads, curves, terrains, you realize a few things. First thing you realize is that the steering is spot on. There's a lot of steering feel when you turn in. The front end is very, very reactive. You can get that front end to point into a corner really, really quick, and that's actually really nice for a car that has this much of ground clearance, which you can go over any bumps or speed breakers without scraping. So that's a very, very nice added bonus. The second thing you'll notice is that the suspension, as you can probably tell by that bump, that expansion joint that I went over, that the suspension is on the stiff side. When you go over a bump, you will feel the bumps. I mean, especially when you go fast, you will feel the bump because the suspension is a tad too swift. But because of that stiffness, you get the good handling. So it's a bit of a trade-off, which you will have to live with. But I think for the Indian conditions, it's a tad too swift. It could be a little, on the softer side, if at all. And that would make it much more usable as a daily option. You also get paddle shifters behind the wheel, which are an beautiful addition. Every car that has an automatic should have paddle shift because, especially with the DSG, the gears shifting is lightning quick. So when you have the paddle shift, it's beautiful to use. Couple of things that you will notice after while you drive is that this car lacks some things, which is this car does not have cruise control, which is a glaring omission, if I can call it, because this car does cost quite a lot. It's about 23 or 24 on road. And it does not have cruise control. It's a glaring omission. I mean, come on, Volkswagen. This car deserves to have cruise control at 23 lakhs on road. Another thing you'll notice is that this car does not have cooled seats. It has ventilated seats, but it's only heat. So you can only warm your rear side. You can't cool it. And in a country like India, winter lasts for maybe say 2 months, 3 months tops. But the rest of the 9 months, it's hot. You would really need the cooled seats, and it doesn't have that. It has only warm seats. So when you're driving and then you floor it and you can see the gearbox downshifts 2 gears and you're off. Post 4000 RPM, the car pulls really strongly. And then you stomp on the amazing brakes. The brakes definitely need a mention. They are 1-2 notches above anything else you drive in this price bracket. The brakes are just spot on. Another thing you'll notice is that the NVH of this car is superb. I mean, you hardly hear the engine, only when you rev it really high. Rest, you won't be able to tell at all about the road noise or the road harshness, everything related to the outside world. Outside this car, you will not be able to tell because the insulation is superb and the car is so planted on the roads that you won't be able to hear anything at all. This car also comes with stop start. So every time you come to a stop, like I am doing now, the engine will stop and it's dead. And as soon as I lift my foot off the brake, it starts and I'm onwards. This feature is for saving fuel, obviously, though I'm not very sure how much fuel it actually saves, but it is for fuel saving. This car also comes with front parking sensors, rear parking sensors. It does not come with auto park, but it has the Parktronic feature where it helps you to park properly. It has got front sensors and rear sensors. It's got a reverse camera as well. It does not have 360 camera though, which is weird because it's a CBU model. Normally CBU cars do have the 360 camera. So yeah, that also sums up partly what this car is, that this car is quite weirdly spec'd. It's got lots of things you like. It doesn't have some things you would really want and need. So I'm not sure what kind of spec this is, but yes, overall dynamically I cannot fault this car at all.
In conclusion, I would like to say that the T-Roc is a great car. The engine and gearbox, ride and handling is something I cannot fault. It is sublime. What I can mention as a negative is the hard plastics in the interior and the lack of cruise controls and cooled seats, which is a must in the price bracket. Which brings me to the price. At 19.99 lakhs ex showroom, it's definitely a touch expensive compared to its rivals like the Seltos, Creta, and the likes. But given that it is a CBU, I think this price was expected. Do I think it is the segment leader? Maybe not. But if you do need an urban runabout with good driving experience, then look no further. Perhaps as a second or third car for the household. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.